plenty of people to talk this one through with us. Andrew Linus is there, Group Managing Director at Linus Food Service. Dan Sodergren, AI and technology expert. Commentator Tina Calder and Alliance MLA Kate Nicholl are in the studio. Kate's chair of the Stormont All-Party Group on Artificial Intelligence, relatively new committee that's kind of been put together. With George Brash as well from the Union Unite. Dan, I'm going to start with you because you're the experts on AI and technology and how it's linking in. Where do you stand on this? Because it'd be very easy to say, oh, hold on, what about somebody who works on a production line when it comes to this sort of thing? But then that other argument is like, look, this always happens in industry and business and effectively the way we live.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could argue this is, of course, the fifth industrial revolution, which I talk about when I do talks on AI, the future of work and technology. But it's interesting. I did some work with Vodafone, who launched a home broadband thing called Who's Home, and obviously all the broadband providers are available. It's more the research they did, and they researched 2,000 people, and it's interesting to see where people think AI is and robotics is at the moment, because actually about a quarter of us would be happy with an AI cleaner at home, and about 1 in 8 would be actually happy. Would be happy with an AI housekeeper at home, like a robotic system. That's like 17% of them in the research from Vodafone. So it's interesting to see how far the human population or the UK population are ahead of potentially in the way they're thinking about this fifth industrial revolution, because actually if it's people, or robots should I say, helping us at home, we're very, very happy about it. But as you so rightly say, there is a much deeper fear with people who are thinking actually this could be the figure one, or did you mention Atlas there? I think it was this figure one. There's Atlas, there's another one that came out, a tiny startup called Neo last year. There's Tesla that are doing these. There's 150 companies in China that make robots as we speak. So the idea that robotics isn't going to be with us very, very soon is a little bit silly. The fact that Hyundai's saying it'll take 2 years, I think it's more likely the next 2 months. These robots are now costing about $15,000. This is a thing for now to start thinking about.
That's the last thing you're going to pay them, presumably. That's you're there on maintenance, that sort of thing.
Well, isn't that amazing? Obviously, you've got electricity costs, etc., but the actual unit cost being as low as £20,000, that's quite stunning. So these things could be starting to come into our houses, let alone in manufacturing, etc. So yes, the government and other people really have to start thinking about this en masse, because this is the fifth industrial revolution. It is exciting, in my opinion, because I actually think these robots will help us, not just in our houses, but in other places too. For example, with nurses, etc. Instead of the nurse having to run around getting blood tests, etc., perhaps the robot does that part of it, and then nurses can do the more humane thing and most human thing, which is talking to patients more. So I can see the plus point.
A quick one before we move on from you, Dan, because this is something I just had a brief wondering about. Why are they human-like? Why do they look? Why do they do that? Why not just like a box with arms? Is there a reason for that, or is
I think your point's absolutely brilliant, Richard, because I'm totally with you on this. In certain places like manufacturing, the idea that it's a humanoid is rather silly, because you really want something with 8 arms, because then it can do 4 times the amount.
Some large octopus, a mechanical thing.
Exactly. Well, you do, don't you? And if you look at robotics in car manufacturing, it doesn't look anything like a human. But I think this is more to do with the fact that the robot producers know at some point it's going to cross over from manufacturing and business to business into the home, and you don't really want a kind of weird centipede-like or spider-like machine in your house. But I don't know if you've ever seen the Neo bot, it looked very odd from America. That actually looked terrifying because they try to make it look more human. I have a feeling that we're going to get into this weird world where they'll try to make it look human, and by doing so, they'll actually make it more scary, because we'll be pretty freaked out by it all. But yeah, I'm with you.
Blade Runner territory there then.
Well, I'm with you. I think sometimes it's much better to give them wheels and to make them not look like humans, but there's a big fashion at the moment to make them look like humanoids, and then everyone starts panicking about other things.
This is a journey, and I think the difference maybe over this AI journey versus other ones is the speed of advancement. And I think it is just you're getting your head around one thing. You're like, oh my goodness, Gemini or someone else has just launched this, and you're like, I'm just getting my head around it. So I think the speed of it is probably one of the different shifts from some of the other technological shifts over the years. But I just think we can't be afraid of it. We've got to embrace it. It's here. We're all starting to use this in our daily lives, from ChatGPT right through to different parts. And we're probably using it in our daily lives, and we don't even realise that AI is driving a lot of that change. And the ability for it to turn masses of data into information is really exciting.
Another text says AI has its place. The issue is defining where it should be used. Dan, there is a point to be made as well, actually tapping into what Tina was saying too about using LinkedIn and using AI to perhaps tidy up our LinkedIn and then maybe getting some criticism for it. But LinkedIn and social media is only about 20 odd years old. I'm sure people were particularly disappointed at times maybe with that, but it feeds into that idea of any technology. Why do you say that was enough but this is too much?
Well, no, absolutely right. And as rightly so, the other person was saying about, people used to use ghostwriters and PR people, etc. And now we're using what I like to call AI as my automated intern, because that's literally what they're like. I've got 5 or 6 of these little LLMs and different machines that I've built that do lots of different stuff. I mean, not only post things on LinkedIn, but also loads of other things that I don't really want to do, like do quotes for my talks and loads of things and research my talks and do lots of other stuff. What I think AI is brilliant at is making people more productive. And they're saying now it could be up to 40% in some industries, and that productivity lift means that we can now do more things that are more fun, maybe like the other person was talking about, potentially make more money from sales, but also you could even have a 4-day work week, couldn't we? We could take a bit more time off and spend some time with our friends and family. But the big thing for me is it's AI is already in businesses already. What's interesting to note, I did some work with someone last year, about 66% of us believe we've had enough AI training. And as that gentleman was rightly saying, AI changes all the time. So what leaders have got to understand is it's not like training people to use Microsoft Word, etc., where you just do it once and you leave it. AI training now has to be continuous. Education is going to be absolutely key. And here's a weird one for you. If you don't feel you've had enough AI training, you're 35% more likely to leave that business as well. So it's not just about training your people, but it's about retaining those people too. So as the other caller rightly said, education is going to be key here. I love the fact that we think we should be thinking much more about the next generation and education. And I'm all for the fact that this has to happen on a governmental level.